Greetings, nomads and other YouTubers. It has been several months. I don't remember when the last video I put up was. It's been a while. There's been, some challenges, I guess, internet-wise. I mean, some of you, if you've been following my Facebook presence or any of the other places, know that Verizon is just not getting the job done. I've since gotten AT&T as my cell service provider, and I've been pretty happy with the results so far. Here in Quartzsite is where typically among challenges this is one of the biggest, specifically for Verizon, because it seems like everybody has Verizon, and when the peak season hits, there's just so many people there that are vying for very finite network access. It just becomes saturated. It's not the only poor spot and not the only reason why Verizon sucks. There are other reasons. I mean, I was in Idaho, up in the Panhandle, and I was below my data cap, so, like many unlimited data plans, you get a limitation, which is, in Verizon's case, 22 gigabytes. And then after that, they deprioritize you. We don't throttle, we deprioritize. Well, I hadn't reached my data cap yet of 22 gigabytes. I was well under it. I was actually in the city of Coeur d'Alene, across the street from a tower, probably, 200 yards, maximum. Needle was pegged. I mean, I had signal strength that was really strong, and I did a speed test, and I got 0 data up, 0 data down. And I've been on the phone with Verizon several times, and I still was not able to get any help. In fact, usually when I called customer support, I ended up worse off than before I called, and more frustrated than before I called. So anyway, I've given up on Verizon, and I'm switching over to AT&T. I still have my old number, at least for the time being, but I'll probably be getting rid of it, simply because I can't get it ported over to AT&T. I've been to Verizon several times, and I just get a run around and get nowhere. So anyway, that's not why I wanted to start this video, but I feel better. And we've already established it's all about me, right? So Happy New Year. It is January 2nd, 2021. Oh my goodness. I think a lot of us are anxious to see 2020 be behind us. More specifically, the events of 2020 be behind us. Some new leadership in the country to see if that makes a difference at all. Honestly, I don't think it will, but I'll get into that in a minute. So, I've been doing updates about, I've been camping here, and isn't it pretty? And, look at all this cool stuff. And, and look at what I did with my trailer and things like that. And there are little things that I've done, not a lot. Just itty-bitty minutia kind of stuff. And so I really haven't had a reason to put a video up. So there hasn't been a whole lot of impetus for me to craft something new because I didn't have any content. And then Verizon has been such a poor service that it's just been really difficult to get a video uploaded once I have something crafted. And that's changed with AT&T. So AT&T has 100 gigabyte data cap before they deprioritize you. I think they still use the word throttle, but 100 gigabytes is all I was asking for from Verizon. I said, I'll pay you for it. Just tell me how to fix this. And I ended up buying hardware, which wasn't supposed to have a contract, and all of a sudden it turns out that it does. So that's going to cost me several $100s to get out from underneath that device. A little, MiFi hotspot kind of thing. Nothing worked. Yeah, I'm getting off on that tangent again, and I didn't want to do that. So, last night I was just kind of chewing on stuff. Life, you know how you do. You think about stuff, thinking about the year, and all of the craziness that we've witnessed, and it's easy to complain about stuff. It's easy to find fault and flaw. It's out there everywhere, myself included. And, you know, we're not a perfect people. We're not a perfect country. We're not a perfect government. We're not. And I'm using we in a much more global sense than I am a national sense. I'm not talking about just America, although, you know, my experience is limited to the borders of the United States, with some very minor exceptions. But so chewing on all this stuff and thinking about what has happened and the sorts of things that I've seen and some of the things that I've seen, heard. And if we can say anything about us during these last 9, 10, 11, 12 months, it's that we are passionate. We are a passionate people, passionate about our beliefs and passionate about our perceived rightness, correctness. I don't know what word to use there. And I think that's good. I think passion, it's good to have passion. It becomes a powerful motivator, propels us forward into things that we become passionate about. And there's been no shortfall of passion in the last year, in 2020, on multiple fronts. And I think that's great. The problem comes up when we have passion that is surrounding unimportant or inaccurate or downright false or you know, with motives of manipulation, that kind of thing. We become passionate about things that really are not good for the community as a whole, the community of the world, the community of the United States. If we get passionate about something that excludes, you know, a group of people, then we need to rethink what our passion is about. And you know, discerning what those things are, what ideas, thoughts, goals, passions are worthy of that kind of focus and importance in our lives is the question. And each of us is built on an accumulation of all of our lives before this point in time. So we have a timeline, and we're born, and you know we reach this age, and this point in our lives is an accumulation of all of these events and experiences that we've had up until this point, and it shapes, colors, makes us who we are at this point. And now you have another person that's on a different timeline, and they are accumulation of all of their experience to that point in time. And when you have two people that have a whole foundation that's built with different materials, it's easy to see where when you get to this point, there's a collision of ideas that is really difficult to appreciate in the other person, because we don't have that foundation under us that brings us to this point where we are. And I think key to understanding our differences is the ability to, you know, look at that foundation, not necessarily experience it at the same way that another person did. That's impossible. You don't have the time or the years in order to do that. But you can examine it and start to develop some understanding about why people are the way they are. There are some other influences. It's not just about nurture. It's also about nature. So I think people are naturally given to a certain set of emotions, thinking, critical or otherwise, and that also plays a role. But those two things together shape where we stand at any given point on our life timeline. And if we don't have all of that stuff, these two people here are on very different timelines, very different set of genetic material, you know, trying to find common ground is sometimes very difficult. And I witnessed that over and over and over again. And the things that people have said to one another and in their passion for what they believe. And, you know, not wanting to discount their perspectives. You know, the ability to treat another person with respect and understand that they've got a history and a set of genes that are different than yours, and they're going to have a different perspective. You might not agree, but you can at least become passionate along with your passion. And think about, you know, why the other person sees things and thinks things the way that they do. Sorry, I'm looking at my recording thing over here because it shuts off after 12 minutes. I'm still using my Canon. Why did they do that? Oh, I know why they did it. Mark told me it's because of taxes. What a crazy idea. Anyway, I digress yet again. I better stop now before I get back on Verizon AT&T. So I thought, you know, I haven't done a video in a while. And if I were to do one, what would I do it on? And I think what I would like to do is open a dialogue. And look for ways for us to talk about what it is that we feel and why we feel what we feel. Knowing absolutely that it is fraught with risk and danger because of passions that we hold for our set of viewpoints. And it could get ugly again. And that's the last thing that I want. You know, I try as best as I can to respect somebody else's point of view. And there was a 12 minutes. See why I was watching? I'm not sure where that cut off, but anyway. So it's fraught with danger because, you know, we are passionate, and it has been ugly at times in the way that we convey our ideas and our thoughts about other people and condemning them and condemning them as people. You know, look at the idea and find facts and supportive material to say, this is why I think your perspective is less than accurate. I respect your opinion, but what about this information here? How do you incorporate this into your idea? And having, you know, a friendly, compassionate dialogue about who we are as a people, where we stand in the world, and more importantly, what direction do we take to make it better? You know, what are the steps? What are the goals? We got to have a target. You know, you can't hit something that you don't aim for. And I think that's been missing. We've done a lot of analysis and critique about the state of the world and other people's opinions and all of that stuff. But offering up a solution, a direction, an idea, a way to go that will benefit us as a whole, as a globe, as a world, and as a nation. And I think that that's important. So, in my wild, crazy notion of an idea, I thought, what the heck? You know, let me craft a video. Not going to be fancy. And just open up a dialogue and talk about the things that we need to talk about and find common ground and direction for. I have no idea what, if any, purpose it could serve. I think, if anything, it's just for me to learn. I'm selfish that way. I think anybody who stops learning is really missing out on a lot, and that's something I don't want to do. I want to continue to learn and evolve, get new information, discuss new ideas, try to remain open to the possibility that I could be absolutely wrong. I could be wrong. Frequently have been. And, you know, the key is, what do you do afterwards? Well, I think this is the key. Look for a solution. So what do we do different? We've got a new president. We've got new leadership. Still got some turmoil out there. It's crazy, wacky turmoil. Part of the problem is you know, I'm going to use a label on myself. I hate labels. I don't know if I've shared that with you. Because as soon as somebody puts a label on you, you become all of those things that are associated with that label on. Oh, there's my refrigerator. Sorry about that. It's probably hitting the audio. And, you know, labels don't always work for me. There's a lot of things about me that are conservative. There's a lot of things that about me that are liberal. I have mixed ideas. I like to refer to myself as a rationalist. Is that really a category? But even that's a label. And we need to find a way to ignore the labels to some extent, maybe even completely, and allow ourselves to understand that there may be a mix of other ideas contained within any given person, dialogue, whatever, and think about solutions. So, I mean, there's some challenges that I think are in front of us as a planet. You know, the whole global warming thing, without getting into a dialogue about whether global warming exists or not, or it's man-made or not. To me, it doesn't really matter. I think the data is sufficient to show that there is a warming trend. How severe, how steep that is unknowable for me because I don't have access to the empirical data. Which brings me to another point. You know, everything that I know and everything that I believe is based on information that I get through resources that I've lost faith in. I don't have trust in what it is that they tell me. I think virtually every news outlet out there colors what it is that they deliver to us with their own opinion and not necessarily based on fact. And then you add social media, you know, folks have just thrown stuff out. Wild-eyed ideas and thoughts about, well, you know, 80% of people are wrong. Well, you know, they'll just throw a number out there like, okay, 80% of people are wrong? And so I get labeled, I guess, to some extent, a conspiracy theorist. We could talk about that too. There's so many tangents and bunny trails we could go down. You know, because I don't necessarily believe that there's X thing going on in the government. Some pick a theory. I don't care what it is. But I do believe in the possibility, particularly here in America. You know, we are arguably the most powerful country on the planet. That is a substantial carrot to dangle in front of people with nefarious notions. And if there is a way for them to take over the most powerful nation on the planet, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they attempt it? Have they already attempted it? I don't know, maybe. So while I may not have a fleshed out conspiracy theory about the nature of the world and our role in it and the government's role in it and the media and everybody else, that we can start getting into these tangents and pointing finger at each other, I remain open to the possibility, because human nature is such that if there is a worthy enough value in something, there are people that are going to want to take it inappropriately. So to that end, the label conspiracy theorist fits me to a very small extent. Maybe more than I want to admit to, but and I think we tend to get focused on things that distract us from what's really important. You know, we'll be talking about some very specific social want, need, whatever, and be focused on that. All the while there's other stuff that's going on elsewhere around it that doesn't get the publicity, isn't as high on the visibility profile as this other thing. We get focused on that and we forget all this other stuff that's out there. And I think it puts us in a place where we get locked into these discussions over something that's potentially unimportant, missing the larger, lower-hanging, more impacting fruit, so to speak. So So anyway, this video has already gone 12 minutes. It's probably going to go another 12. And, you know, I don't want to keep them too long, but at the same time, I want to be able to craft a framework within which this dialogue can begin to occur. Because it's important, I think, to us as a people, to us as a world and as a nation. And it's important to me as a person, just because I want to learn. And I want to improve myself and get these other ideas and all that. And I'm not necessarily going to agree, and you're obviously not necessarily going to agree with me. But, unless we can get the information out there, I can't even think about it. I can't even choose to agree or disagree unless I know about it. So anyway, that's what I would like to do with this video, and see where it goes. So let's open the dialogue now. And I guess my first question is, what do you think about this idea of talking about these very difficult topics and the framework within which I want to talk about them? Is it possible? Is it necessary? Should this be my first and last video on this topic? I don't know. So I want to hear from you. Talk to me. And let me know. Let's talk to each other. And maybe we'll learn something. Learn something new, something better. Wouldn't that be awesome? So anyway, love you guys. Bless you guys. And until the next video, whenever that may be, we'll see you later.